Welcome to Greenshine Farmer's video blog about a family starting a farm and going back to the homestead lifestyle.
Hey guys, welcome to Greenshine Farmers. Today we're going to be going into our winter growing techniques, kind of talking about what worked, what didn't work, and what we're going to do next year. Alright, so looking at our plot, one of the things we've had to do, and one of the things I didn't count on, was just how much rain we get here, and that all this rain has to shed off of these tunnels. So we've dug these trenches. I mean, we kind of had trenches before, but I mean, you can see how much dirt we've taken up. But in order to deal with all this water and not have it run over our beds, we've had to dig some pretty deep trenches. And you know, as you can see, there's still kind of a work in progress, but it's much better. Everything on top, you know, this is still nice and dry, which is good. So we've got these really big rocks. I don't know if that'll show up, but these are, you know, boulders. You see that big chunk right there is just a boulder, and it basically runs, you know, this is probably like a 5 or 6 foot mound under that bed right there. And so we still have to kind of find a way to break those up for everything to really drain properly, but you know, overall it's looking pretty good. Now we have direct seeded these 2 rows, one with tatsoi, one with red mustard. We'll talk about some of that stuff later, but these I've been getting from a commercial greenhouse. Banner Greenhouse is out in Nebo, North Carolina, and they grow fantastic seedlings and plant starts. And so we've been trying to get pretty much all the lettuce that we can, and we also planted out some celery over there. Alex and the kids are about to drive out there. It's a bit of a drive to pick up some more lettuce seedlings, so we'll be planting out another row this week. And it's a little bit risky because on Sunday, pretty much a week from today, they're talking that it's going to get down to like 13 degrees at night. So I don't know. My gut says everything will be fine if we can get these seedlings in the ground today or tomorrow, so that they have at least 5-6 days to kind of root up and get ready for that freeze. Alright, now last week we actually had really nice weather. It was in the 50s and 60s, and everything actually dried up a little bit, which is rare. We got like 5 days without rain, so I was able to actually get in and harrow some of these beds. So this bed was lettuce. We just harrowed the lettuce in with a bunch of leaves that I've picked up, and then we just laid down a thick layer of straw mulch. Now the straw is starting to sprout grass, but honestly I'm just not worried about it. What we'll do is, come springtime when we're ready to plant this bed, is just go through with a rake. We'll scrape all the straw off into the pathway where it'll help absorb excess moisture, and then we've just got a nice clean bed. We can maybe flame weed if we need to, but I don't really think it'll be a problem. Now you can see here, all that dirt had to go somewhere. So while we were trenching, we were basically just mounding it up in this center bed here, which we've used for like squash and things like that since it's so wide. Not sure what we're going to plant here yet. And actually, being how mucky it actually wasn't terrible once we kind of harrowed it all in. So we might do some perennial herbs or flowers here, just something to help soak up excess moisture. So this behind me right here is ryegrass, and I threw it down kind of late, actually really late, so it wasn't, you know, perfect germination, but this is all going to fill in. And I probably threw it down at the end of November, and I mean, it still grew. This is probably like the hardiest thing. You know, you could probably pitch it in the snow, and once the snow melts, those seeds are going to take off. So we laid this down just to give something. You know, these beds have never been worked. It's incredibly just a thick clay. So the idea here is that these ryegrass roots are going to go down and really break up that clay and give us some good biomass and allow us to, you know, really make these beds productive, because, you know, our goal is to really maximize this plot, you know, both of these plots this year. Okay, now let's talk about what worked and what didn't work this year. So lettuce, this is our direct seeded lettuce blend, and we've kind of had troubles with it this past year. We're going to be cutting it out, but in the winter it just doesn't really hold up. I mean, we got you know, we actually didn't get any cuts from these beds. We just had these covered with a low tunnel, and although it looked all right, there were too many leaves that had kind of turned yellow or had kind of burnt edges. You could tell we're just stressed out, so we didn't want to put it in our mix. So those two beds were kind of shot. So, you know, I'd say loose leaf lettuce is definitely out. Head lettuce, I think, can take it. Things like spinach, tot soy, and red mustard have been the top performers by far. So go in here, and we've got, you know, these two spinach beds. This is a variety called Verdil by High Mowing, and it is by far my favorite spinach variety. I mean, it just keeps growing back. I just cut this all last week, and already, you know, we're getting a decent amount of regrowth. And you know, if your nutrients are there and the conditions are right, you could probably be getting, you know, 4 or 5 cuts maybe by the time you have to take it out. So that's key. These were both two different types of mesclun mix. One was like a stir fry mix, and one was something else I can't remember, but they both have red mustard, and you can see, you know, there's some yellow leaves in there, but that's mostly from kale and some other things. But what really did well was these red mustards. I mean, the leaf is just, you know, robust. And that one right next to it is tot soy, and that's the other one that does really well here. I mean, it's kind of like they call it Asian spinach, and it's awesome, and it's really hardy. So these two things, actually these three crops, tot soy, red mustard, and spinach, is kind of going to be our go-to next year. I mean, I don't think I'm going to mess around with, maybe we'll try some head lettuce, but you know, it's really, in the winter time, you've only got so many beds to work with, so much that's, you know, covered and they're able to grow in, that you really have to focus on, you know, the crops that work and the crops that do the best. So we're just finishing up washing for the day, and about to start packing after this. Some mesclun mix. And one thing that's really nice about doing greens in the winter is, you know, it's already cool when you cut it. So I mean, the greens just feel so much more crisp, and they just got more of like a sweeter flavor to them. So I mean, greens in the winter in this climate, as long as you can keep the snow off and keep them from getting stressed out by the frost, they seem to do pretty good. Alright, so I'm in the greenhouse now, and we've got the rest of these seedlings transplanted. This just makes me happy, seeing these little guys in here growing. It's supposed to get down to 7 or 8 degrees tomorrow night. So I'm going to go through right now with the sprayer pack, and we are just going to be adding some Neptune's Harvest, which is kind of a fertilizer that's fish emulsion, I believe, with you know, seaweed kelp and some other good stuff, and also with the mycorrhizal fungi. And this is going to kind of help reduce the transplant shock. I mean, these guys seem to be doing pretty good, but you know, it just won't hurt. It's going to help kind of bolster the root systems. The other thing I'm going to be doing is actually double covering those. So we're going to be putting up some low tunnel hoops in here and putting up another layer of poly, just to kind of, you know, try to be extra safe and hope that these guys, you know, I'm not so worried that they'll die. I think they'll be fine, but I'm more worried about them becoming stunted. Sometimes with a seedling, if there's something stressful, like it stays in the tray too long, or just when you transplant it, it has, you know, it's just like really wet soil or whatever. If it gets stressed for any reason, seedlings, when they're in this stage, sometimes don't recover. They'll still grow, but they grow really slow, and they'll just get to maybe like half of their size that they should get to, or even smaller. So really don't want that with these guys, because these are going to be the first new crops of this year. This is the sprayer pack we use. It's just the Field King Professional. I think it's like 75 bucks on Amazon. I bought this when we started farming like 3 years ago, and it's lasted me just fine. We don't spray anything here except for, you know, fertilizer, mycorrhizal fungi, compost tea. But when I have this pack on and people drive by, I always feel like they think I'm spraying, you know, Roundup, but because that's what everybody associates this packs with. But to be honest, it's really not the most efficient way to do things. It's time consuming. I have to walk down each row and give, you know, to each little plant. It's an incredible waste of my time. So what we're going to be doing this year instead is actually putting in drip irrigation on both plots, And the reason for that is basically because our biggest challenge with growing here is just how much water we get, how much rain we get, and so I don't want to be putting any more water than necessary on this plot. So we're going to be going to drip irrigation, and also by doing that we're going to actually be able to connect into basically a big 55-gallon drum of fertilizer and also a compost tea, so we can just you know, basically do an injection into those drip lines to fertilize our plants if we see they need a little bit more nutrients. All right, now to summarize, I would say what we're going to do, what worked, what didn't work, what we're going to do next year. The high tunnels definitely worked. You know, they keep things pretty warm. I haven't had it frosting here yet. We'll cross our fingers for this weekend. Hopefully with the second layer of low tunnels, it's not a problem. So I would say the high tunnels were a great investment because otherwise we wouldn't have product in December, January, or February. We're getting new stuff in the ground, you know, 2-3 months earlier than normally we'd be able to. So, you know, the high tunnels were a good choice. I would say the low tunnels are a decent choice if you don't have much money to work with. They're better than nothing, but they're a pain in the butt to get in and out of, and you really got to anchor them down to keep them from blowing away. I guess just another thing that I would mention is I think next year what we're going to do differently is we'll probably only do spinach, tatsoi, and red mustard. Those crops seem to do the best in the winter. They seem to be the most cold hardy. They seem to grow the fastest, and they seem to be the ones giving you the most cuts. So next year we'll definitely do that. The one thing we didn't foresee this year, I think, was even though we have everything covered, just how much water we still get in the winter. So, you know, in our context, having these canals dug is kind of a necessity. Yes, it's a pain in the butt. Yes, I feel ridiculous trying to take the shovel and move the water along the canalway, but it's kind of just what it is right now. Sometimes you just have to really focus on, okay, you know, focus on actually what the plants are doing, keeping the plants happy, you know, and then just try to, you know, kind of streamline the system over time. You know, it's not going to happen overnight. But anyway, that's kind of just a winter recap, you know, telling you guys what we've been doing, what we've been up to. If you have any questions, just leave them in the comment section down below, and, you know, I'll be sure to get back to you. And once again, thanks for watching.
If you guys like this video and you'd like to see more like it, leave us a comment down below, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Also, visit us at greenshinefarms.com and follow us on Instagram at greenshinefarms. Thanks for watching. See you guys next time.